Alright, don't go over. Take your whole lunch period.
Go ahead whenever you're ready.
Alright, well hi, my name is Sarah Knox. I am a dietetics intern here. And I have a topic I'd like to discuss with you, and it's why fad diets don't work. So let's get started. So my objectives for you today are to understand the difference between each macronutrient and why we need all of them in our diets. To be able to determine what a fad diet is and why they do not work in the long term. Be able to define what set point weight is and how fad diets affect it. And then be able to list, or at least take home, 3 healthy lifestyle changes mentioned in the presentation. So just a little pop quiz, no pressure. Just true or false questions, just answer out loud. So the first question, to lose weight, you must adhere to strict goals for daily calorie intake and exercise. Is this true or false?
True.
False. It's all about a healthy lifestyle and incorporating everything, not being so rigid or strict. So the second one, and these are meant to trick you, so don't go back. Some foods are good and some foods are bad.
False.
False. All foods are good foods, everything in moderation. Some are a little more nutritious than others. And then, what is the main source of readily available energy used by the body? Fats, carbs, protein, or candy?
Carbs.
Candy. No, carbs. You're right. That was a tricky one, so that's good. And then the last one, short-term fad diets are the best way to get healthy.
False.
False. All right, good. You guys know your stuff. So macronutrients, I'm sure we've heard of macronutrients, macros. So what are they and why are they important? So they are the building blocks of what makes up all the different, all the food that we eat. So protein, carbs, fat. They all have different roles and they all work together to keep us healthy, energized, fit, and you need a balance of all 3. And oftentimes with fad diets, cut out 1 or 2 different ones, which we'll get to. So the first macronutrient, carbohydrates. So what are some carbs? When you think of the word carbs, what comes to mind?
Pasta.
Bread.
Rice.
Yes, so those are carbs, yes. But as you can see in the picture, really everything contains carbs. So your fruit, your vegetables, there's a potato in there, your yogurt, your milk. So it's more than just bread, those heavier, starchier carbs. So carbs are the body's preferred energy source, like you said, and they make you move. They give you your energy, and our bodies require a carb intake of 45 to 60% of your daily calories. So if you cut back on carbs, it makes you feel a little more lethargic. And carbs are used by the brain. So sometimes when you're doing some of those diets, you get that brain fog and you can't focus as well, and that's because you're depriving the brain of its energy source as well. So carbs tend to get a bad reputation, and that is, yes, too many simple carbs can increase your blood sugar and make you feel hungrier, but it's important to incorporate both simple and complex carbs. So some simple carbs are things like candy, white bread, chips. Your complex carbs have the fiber, so whole grains and whole wheat, veggies, beans. So both in moderation is awesome. So fat is not the enemy, right? Fat does not make you fat, which is a misconception, right? So our body needs between 25 and 35% of total calories coming from fat. And fat is so important for our body. It makes the food yummy, right? It adds taste, it adds flavor, appeal, and it helps keep our hair healthy, our nails, all that important stuff. And it provides us with omega-6, which is something that the body gets from food. We don't have it in the body to make on our own. So this is like flaxseed oil, walnuts, which you can see in the pictures. So sources of dietary fat. We have monounsaturated, polyunsaturated, saturated, and trans fat. So we want to stay away from trans fat. I'm sure we've heard that. And then the other 3, there's different amounts in each of the food items in the picture, the avocados. They all have those 3, but just different amounts. So everything in moderation, again with all 3, but just stay away from those trans fats, which It's not in a lot of foods with the new laws. So protein is our third macronutrient, which is the popular one, right? We all have heard, just eat protein and you'll stay full. And so yes, protein is important. It is necessary to recover from our workouts and build muscle. But what's interesting, and I feel like a lot of people don't know, is protein and carbs really work together. So carbs give us that energy, while the protein builds your muscle. And so they work together, and you need to consume both of them. So oftentimes, those diets, you cut out the carbs, and you just consume a lot of protein. And then another thing a lot of people don't realize is how much protein they need. So if you can see here, this is just an example of a 130-pound adult, and they need about 45 to 60 grams of protein. And if you see in the chart, it says this female needs 46 grams, normally gets 60 to 65. This male, 56 grams, normally gets 100 grams. And I know a lot of people who, they have those protein shakes, and a lot of them contain 20 or 30 grams of protein, which is a lot. And this can put stress on your kidneys and lead to some other health issues. So if you're thinking, okay, great, but you don't know how much protein is in some of the foods we eat. So I have some examples. So a 3-ounce chicken is 23 grams of protein. A cup of milk is 8 grams. 2 tablespoons of peanut butter, 7 grams. 1 egg is 7 grams. 1 ounce of nuts is 6 grams, and then a 4th cup of hummus is 5 grams. So if you can kind of put that in perspective. So some nutrition reality checks. So like I said before, fat does not make you fat. Your body will store fat, carbs, protein as fat if you eat them in excess, any of them. And then this one may sound a little silly, but I'm sure you've heard, oh, if I eat this piece of pizza, it's going to go straight to my thighs or straight to my stomach or something. But no, not logical, right? No food remains whole inside your body. It's going to break down. It's going to go to different places, not just your thighs. But really, all food is good food, right? Everything in moderation. Don't list good foods, bad foods. Don't create those food rules, because that's when the trouble starts. So, the fad diet industry, what we're talking about. So it's all about marketing, and I'm sure some of you are in marketing here, Cardinal Health. But you want the consumer to buy it, right? So you make it sound great, you make the packaging shiny, and you make promises. I'm sure you've seen some diets, lose 30 pounds in 7 days. You don't even have to exercise, just eat this. Not realistic, right? They're all quick fixes, and oftentimes it's really just water weight that you're losing. And then some other fad diet industry things are supplements, and sometimes you have to look at the label and say, what is really in this? What am I taking? What is this doing to my body? And then the real thing is, what happens next? So what happens after these 7 days, and maybe you lose 30 pounds, probably not. But do you go back to how you were eating? Have you learned new habits, portion control? Those are the important long-term solutions to losing weight. So some current fad diets, which I'm sure you've heard of some of these. Any random ones, crazy ones you've heard of that you want to shout out, or that a friend's doing, or that you've done? You don't have to. Just wondering. No? Okay. All right, so I'll go through some of these. So the first one is gluten-free, which I am sure a lot of us have heard. Gluten's the enemy, all this. Well, it's not for most people, right? So gluten-free is, gluten is a protein found in like wheat, barley, rye. And sometimes, for some people, they have celiac disease, right, where they can't consume that protein. It's an autoimmune disorder. So when they consume the protein, it starts to damage their small intestine, and they have other symptoms. So you can't really determine if you have gluten intolerance just by cutting gluten out of your diet. You need to have a test done where you have to be consuming gluten, and then they take a biopsy from your small intestine to determine if you have celiac disease. So Paleo Diet, which is a very popular one. I have many friends who are on this, family members, and this is where it's based on eating foods that kind of that caveman diet. So absence of all technology, no processing, cutting out grains, cutting out dairy, which you're cutting out carbs, and carbs are our energy source, and it's not a long-term thing, right? You're also cutting out dairy, and so that's when you're missing your calcium, your vitamin D. And then keto is also a very popular one. I don't know, have we heard of the keto diet? Yeah? Okay, so it's, no?
Yeah.
Oh, okay, all right, well, cool. So this is a big fad, this is a big trend. People they consume, higher fat, higher protein, they want to get into that fat-burning ketosis state. And so some people even take pH strips, and they'll take the pH of their urine to see if they're in that fat-burning state. But again, not a long-term solution. It's not really maintainable. I know a lot of people who they do keto for a month and then they go back and they gain weight and then they go do keto again, but they still swear by it, so it's interesting. And then going along with those two, high protein, low carb diets, like the Atkins diet. Again, low carbs, not such a good thing. Too much protein, taxing on those kidneys, more protein than we need. And then raw, they all kind of relate. Raw, juicing, cleanses, you want to work to detox the body, get rid of all your toxins. Well, for juicing, at least, I'm a yoga instructor, so a lot of my coworkers are always juicing. And I try and tell them it's really just sugar and there's no fiber in it. Much better, I know Karen mentioned this too, to get a Vitamix and just throw in the whole fruit and blend it up and kind of create your own juice. And then also, the body is an amazing thing, right? We detox ourselves. That's why we have the liver, the kidneys. So we don't really need to juice or cleanse with pills that we don't know what is in there. And then the last one, pre-made meals. So this is different. I was actually in the lunchroom and I saw a commercial for Nutrisystem. I don't know if you've seen that. So you can choose your meals, or they choose them for you, and they deliver them to you. And this can be great, right? This can be good for some people who don't know how much they should be eating. Can learn some portion control. Blue Apron, I think you use, or the other one.
I use HelloFresh.
Right, okay, which can be great. And for some people, though, who don't know how to cook, what happens afterwards? Right, maybe they've learned portion sizes, but they don't have the same recipe as what Nutrisystem's using. So maybe their recipe isn't as low in fat or low in calories. So they may gain back the weight just from not learning that. But it seems to work for you. So kind of depends on the person, I think. So the fad diet cycle, and this may sound familiar. So you want to lose weight. And so you start this diet and you're like all in, this is great. And so you're restricting and a few days go by, okay, it's all right. But then you start to feel a little deprived. And then you start to crave whatever you're cutting out. So maybe that's carbs. I see some nodding heads, so we know. And then after a certain amount of time, you normally give in, or you have a cheat day, or you ate a piece of bread or a cookie and you're like, I ruined everything. And then sometimes that can lead to a binge and just eating a lot of that. And then you have those feelings of guilt once again, and you're not satisfied with how you look, and then hit the repeat button, right? And then you just start again. It's a vicious cycle here. And then going off of that, I don't know, have you heard of set point weight theory? No? Okay. So what is this, right? So set point weight is the weight that our bodies like to be at. We can maintain, it's, within maybe 10 pounds. And our bodies are happy, we're functioning. This is normally, genetic. My set point weight isn't the same as your set point weight or your set point weight. We're all different. So if you can see in the image that the woman started probably around her set point weight, give or take. She goes on a diet and she's lost weight. You can see she's very thin in the bottom part. And then she, gains back some weight, gets off the diet, usually gaining more weight. And then she starts the diet again. Each time her set point is increasing. And I have this on the slide. Fat cells shrink when you lose weight, but they don't disappear. So on those commercials they're like, burn away your fat or whatever. They just shrink and then they'll expand again. So it's really hard to get back to that set point, that start. So eating a healthy lifestyle, everything in moderation, not having those crazy weight changes, that yo-yo dieting, a lot healthier for the body, a lot less problems. So some lifestyle changes are to take baby steps to make big changes, right? Set reasonable goals. 30 pounds in a week is not reasonable, right? 1 to 2 pounds per week is perfect, you know. That's all you want to do, 1 to 2 pounds per week. Get support. So maybe that's a family member, maybe that's a coworker, someone you work out with. Maybe it's a group. So maybe you're part of Weight Watchers, and you know you feel guilty about maybe having a cookie on the weekend, and so you know say that to your group, and someone's like, oh well, you know I did that too, but it's okay. Like everything in moderation, and then you just have someone to really sympathize with and support and motivate you. That's a big part. And then also have fun with it. So there are so many different foods out there that you can cook with, experiment with, so many different recipes. Pinterest, so easy to just type in a recipe and cook it. Do it with your family, meal prep. And then I like this one, plan non-food related rewards, because I feel like oftentimes you're like, oh well this weekend I'm gonna have a slice of cake, I can't wait, like I'm gonna be so good these 5 days. Maybe get a massage, or like, I don't know, get a manicure, whatever, something non-food related. Exercise, adding an exercise is also important, and that doesn't mean just running, right? That's not the only exercise out there, and I'm sure a lot of you know. Zumba, step aerobics that we have. Find something that works for you, so then you'll have fun doing it. You'll want to do it. And then awareness, so mindful eating. Just being aware of what you're putting in your body. You know, what's on your plate? What are you consuming? And going off of that, mindful eating is more about trust, listening to your hunger cues, your fullness cues, being more flexible, right? Not so rigid, no good foods, bad foods, everything in moderation. And so some mindfulness tips are to sit down when you eat, plate your food, or even when you're out to dinner, if there's chips and salsa, take the little plate and put a handful of chips and a little salsa, so you're not just reaching and reaching mindlessly and then you hit the bottom and you're like, oh my gosh, what just happened? You don't even realize it. And then just observe your food, smell it, taste it, feel it, I don't know, really take it in. And also take time to eat, right? 12 to 20 minutes, our body doesn't normally feel fullness till after 20 minutes anyways. So to kind of conclude, 5 reasons to stop dieting. Fad diets do not work long term. Lifestyle changes do. Healthy habits. Diets don't necessarily improve your health. Diets can make you afraid of food by creating those rules. And diets can rob you of energy, which we don't want. We live busy lives. And then most importantly, stop dieting to learn to love and accept yourself just as who you are, right? Because that's the most important part. Of course, I have to keep calm. Keep calm and live a healthy life. And that is all. Any questions? Did we learn anything?
My husband's done, probably over the last several months, a lower carb diet during the week, and then on the weekend he kind of eats normally, although sometimes he binges a little bit on carbs because he's craving them. And he did lose about 15 pounds, so he's focused on that. He's so happy, and he's you know, like, but just look at how much I lost, and I don't discourage him because he's very happy, and he's at his ideal body weight right now. Is there something I can say without, I don't want to discourage that and like poo-poo it, but you know, I'll maybe share some of this, but I mean, I know it's not, he's more focused on the results instead of, you know, and I think there were other factors that maybe contributed to weight gain earlier.
Exercise. I mean,
he's very active, but we have a young child now, and so he also is been exercising a little bit more to kind of keep up with him, and so there are other factors that I think went into the weight loss, but definitely the carb reduction I've seen, you know, the pounds melt off, but I just want to kind of offer support, but also kind of maybe do a little education, because you know he's not getting enough of whole grains, like in, you know, when he eats like his breakfast will be just, hard-boiled eggs and something, cheese or something, but
Right.
I just want to encourage.
Yeah, even just like he could add in some oatmeal, some of those more complex carbs. What does he have on the weekend? Does he go for like cookies, or does he go for the whole grains, or what is he?
A lot of times he'll make like pancakes on the weekend,
Okay.
and maybe treat himself to like a donut in the teacher's lounge on Friday or
Okay.
something, and so he like goes kind
And
of.
that's his cheat, like
Yeah,
he's like, okay.
yeah.
Yeah, so I would say, taking some of this with you, and I can even, maybe even print this out for you, but just to educate and let him know that he won't have those intense cravings if you don't have to incorporate a lot, just like add that, a little bit of grains to your breakfast, to your lunch, to your dinner, and, explain to him that and also explain to him that it's okay to have a donut, right? So like, it's okay to not feel guilty about that. But just sharing some of this information, I don't know, anything more specific?
I would just say that, if you're eating just protein for breakfast, if you added like a piece of whole grain bread or something, or oatmeal, that'll keep him full longer, because it takes the body a long time to digest that, and also from the grains or some things we can't digest, so it keeps us full in the stomach and it just leaves our body. But it's hard with our spouses, because my husband's a health teacher, he won't listen to anything I say, and he buys the kids Fruit Loops, and and it's hard. I don't know if we can change other people, and I would say just support them, and when you're making dinner, maybe make a side of brown rice or quinoa, or say, have you tried this? And unfortunately we can't, we can just keep, as the women that we're making meals, we can keep serving it. That's what I do with my husband. I'll make him a salad and the kids before I put anything else on the table. I'm like, oh, nothing else is ready, so they eat it. Otherwise they won't eat it, right when they come home, because my husband's a teacher, so he comes home from school and they're starved. So that's the only way I can get vegetables in, basically. We can't change, we can only change the people that want to change. That's what I found from working here, and just in general, Because all you guys are health conscious, you're showing up at the gym, but
I would say focus on you, you start doing that, and then maybe he'll see.
Yeah.
and that's just my personal opinion. Some of you guys might have other tricks that work. Maybe we should do a group session where everybody talks about how they get their spouses to eat.
Spouses can join the gym now too.
Yeah, spouses can join the gym. All right, we're gonna give away 3 Zoop gift cards. Has anybody tried Zoop yet?
Yeah.
It is so good. It's over in the cafeteria on Wednesdays and Fridays. They've got sandwiches, salads, soups. All right, our first winner is Luann. And by the way, if you brought a friend, did you guys all know you get an extra entry for friends?
No.
You had 2. Do you want to go put 2 more entries in? Okay. Next. Well, for next time, Glenn. Glenn, yay! Okay, you win 1 and 1 more. Who's gonna be the last lucky one? I'm pulling for you guys. Amber. Amber, all right, you guys. Thank you for the people that talked. You talked. Fill out a form for me, just so I can add. I gotta have someone. You guys, in 2 weeks we're doing Sergio's doing a luncheon one on hydration with sports and working out. So we'll see you guys in 2 weeks.
All right.
All right. Just fill that out for your name on the bottom. Joey's got.
That's where you only eat.
Okay, go ahead and write your name.
Yes, I know it's called
I
that.
might try something else.
Have you tried soup yet?
Yeah, I love it.
Hey, everybody.
They have really good stuff. My days is warm. I go 5 a.m. till 11 p.m. So fabulous.
Yeah. Luann? Sorry, sign. Oh, just put your name and signature.
Oh, that's what you said. I go over there. You know what I mean? Camera off here. So,
That's exactly right.
everything's a great stuff.
I like it.
Yeah.